Hello everybody, welcome to the JavaScript course. In this video, I'm going to discuss the ways to set up classes in JavaScript. So the reason to use classes is to set up a blueprint of the object nature so that we can reuse the classes and create many objects from the class. So I have to discuss the way to set up the constructors and the methods for your classes. And of course, we can also use getter and setter in classes. And I would also discuss the class expressions, and I would also tell you the way to return a class from a function. Now, let us see the HTML file first. This is a pretty simple HTML file. I have a title and a heading. Title is here, heading is here. And the HTML file is linked to a JavaScript file called myscript.js. And this file is put in the JS folder. And then in order for me to use the strict mode for JavaScript, I have to say use strict on the first line of the JavaScript file. Now let us discuss the class. A class is a blueprint of the objects having the same types of properties. That means we can create many similar objects from a class. So let us see an example of a class. Suppose I want to set up a class for dogs. That means I can create many objects coming from this class, having similar key value pairs. So now I have set up a constructor function for my dog class, so that when I use a constructor, every dog object would have its own name. We will see the meaning of this sentence later on. Also, we will notice one more thing. The constructor dog property value pair is stored in dog.prototype. So the class has its own prototype, which just refers to the class itself. And then let me continue the class declaration. A dog can bark, so that's why I set up a method for a dog class. And the method will be stored in the dog.prototype. We will be able to see this one later on. In addition to setting up our own methods, I can also do the class getter for my class. So let me see how I can do it. Now the getter function is just like this one. When I use the dog breed property as a getter method, I will just return a sentence saying that the dog is of some type. Of course, I can also set up a setter for my class. Now I have a setter which uses the same name as my original getter. So this property can serve as both the getter and the setter. So the setter is quite simple. I want to change the dog breed name to another one, as long as the length of the input string isn't equal to 0. Otherwise, I just say the input fails. In addition to using the getter and the setter, which give us the accessor property, I can also set up my own getter and setter functions. You see, I have set up two methods. One is called the getAge, which serves as the getter, and I have another method called setAge, which serves as the setter of the age. Okay. Other than the methods, I can also set up some class field that is set on objects. So I can add a key value pair to denote the length of my dog, which can be 50 centimeters. So this is an additional key value pair to be added to the class. So you can expect that every new object would have this default length of the dog size. Okay. Now after setting up the entire class, I can try to create some objects from this class. So how can I do it? Let me show you my way. Now I use the new keyword followed by the class name, and you can see that I use the constructor function in this way. The first parameter is just the dog breed, and the second parameter is just referring to the age. So that's why I say the breed is sheepdog and the age is 4. And this way I can set up a new object called puppy. Then I can tell puppy to do something. If I want to see the breed of puppy, I just say puppy.breed. And you can see that the breed here is just a property for my dog object. And the property here is just equal to the string passed to the breed key, okay? And of course, I can tell the puppy to bark because I just use the method shown here. So let me see the result. Save. Reload. Yes, you can see that the breed is sheepdog. That means the constructor works. And the bark function is able to execute because you can see the sentence shown here. Now I'm going to demonstrate the getter and setter created here. How can I use the getter and setter? Let me show you my way. Now I just say alert puppy.dogBreed. So if I want to show the content of dog breed, the dog breed accessor would become a getter. Save. Reload. Yes, I can see the sentence coming out because the getter just tells me the breed of the dog. So this dog breed comes from the constructor function. So you can see the entire sentence coming out, showing that the dog is of sheepdog type. Now I'm going to demonstrate the setter. My approach is like this. Let me show you my first idea. I want to set the dog breed to be an empty string, which should not be allowed because I have a condition to check before I really do the assignment. So you can expect that the alert window comes out, which tells me the input fails. In order to see whether the dog breed is set appropriately, I can call the getter again. Save. Reload. Yes, you can see that the input fails. So when I use the dog breed accessor as the setter, the setting fails. And when I use the accessor as a getter, I can get the message coming from the setter quite easily. The input fails. And of course, you can also see that the original getter content would show up, which is this one. So I haven't changed the dog breed to another one, which is just an empty string. So the sheepdog type still remains in the puppy object. So how about setting up the dog breed in another way? Let me show you my approach. Now I want to set the dog breed to be a golden retriever. Since this is a pretty long string, the assignment here should be successful because the length is more than 0. Okay, and I can see the result by using the getter again. So let me save it and reload the page. yes, you can see that the dog breed has turned to golden retriever. That's why the getter is able to show me the new breed appropriately. Okay. And let me see my own getter function to see whether it works or not. Now let me show you the age of the puppy. Save. Reload. Yes, you can see 4 is coming out because this value comes from the constructor function of the dog class. Okay. And let me show you the result coming from my own getter function. So rather than using the age property directly, I can use the getAge method that is created by me previously. Save. Reload. Yes, 4 is coming out because I just call my own getter method shown here. Okay. And how about my setter function? Let me try. I want to set the puppy to be at the age of 6. I can just use my own getter method again. Save. Reload. Yes, you can see that the puppy has turned to 6 years old already. Okay, so that's why I can feel relieved that my setAge method works. And of course, I can also check my additional key value pair, which is the body length. Save. Reload. Yes, 50 is coming out. So that's why I'm pretty sure that all the methods, getters, setters, and constructor all work appropriately. And then I'm interested in the nature of a class. How can I notice it? Let me use the type of keyword. Save. Reload. Yes, a dog is simply a function because the class is just similar to setting up a function. But now I can make use of the class to create many dogs. Now we can see the console to see the prototype information a bit more clearly. More tools, web developer tools. I want to see the information from the puppy object. Okay, you can see that the body length is 50 centimeters. The age is 6 after doing the setAge function, and the name becomes golden retriever. So you can see 3 key value pairs. Okay, and the prototype of the puppy is just the object class that refers to that as the constructor function called dog. And of course, the prototype also contains the information about the methods, including the bark method, getAge method, and the setAge method. And there is also an accessor included called dog breed. Okay, and you can see that the constructor is just the class dog. Okay. The other topic to talk about is the class expression. So what is a class expression? Let me show you an example first. So currently I have another class and I have a label to indicate the class itself. So the class is assigned to a variable called person. So you can see that rather than using the class being the first reserved word to use in the class declaration, I use that person being the first instruction. That means I'm going to assign my whole class to a variable called person. And we can see the way to use this particular class expression. So I now have an object called Tom, and this object comes from the person class expression. So I just say person, and then I pass 2 arguments to the constructor function of the class represented by the person variable. So it is just like using the class name, but the class name is now achieved by assignment rather than naming the class directly using the word person. Of course, I can tell the object to do some method. So let me see the result. Save, reload. Yes, this is the result coming from the previous alert window. And you can see that the descript function works because I can tell Tom, which is an object, to use the class expression contained in the person variable. And another thing to notice is that we can give a name to a class expression. It is a bit abstract. Let me show you the meaning of it with another example. Now I have a class expression, so you can see that the variable called mySquare is actually containing the content of the class. But now you can see that the class has a name given called square. So mySquare is the variable that contains the class, and the class is just called square. But when we use this class content, we will see that the square name is not recognizable. I will demonstrate it to you later. So let me see how I can make use of the mySquare object right now. Now I want to set up an object by using the variable called mySquare, and the variable mySquare is having a number of 3 at the end. That's why I'm going to use the constructor of the mySquare variable. Now the mySquare variable is treated as the class, and I just want to use the constructor of the class indicated by the mySquare variable. So I say mySquare 3. That means the length of the square is 3, according to the constructor setup. And now this new object is called square of length 3. And how can I play with this object? I want to say the area of the square coming from this object. So let me see the result. Save. Reload. Yes, you can see the alert window is saying that the area is 9. That means I can use the sayArea method that is stored by the mySquare variable. Okay. But you can see that in using the mySquare variable, I haven't used the word square shown here, which means that the class name called square isn't really used. So is it really possible for us to use the word square?
Let's see.
If I say alert square, what will I have? Save. Reload. Yes, when I press the reload button, I see nothing. The reason is that the name of a class is not known in the outside world. So after leaving the class declaration, the word square is not known to the outside world. That's why when we leave the class declaration, the word square is an unknown name. That's why we cannot say alert square. And we can notice that this word square is not able to be called by the outside world. The final part of the video is to talk about the way to return a class from a function. It is a bit abstract. Let me show you an example. Now I have set up a function called generatePerson, and when I call the function, I would return a class called person, which has a certain method shown here called describePerson, and the describePerson method is going to use the parameters passed from the generatePerson function. Okay, so how can we make use of the return value of this function. Let me show you my way. Now you can see that I want to set up an object coming from a function, and in general the function will just return a class. So you can expect that the function output, which is a class, is stored in the variable called output class. And you can see that I have passed 2 arguments to the generatePerson function, and you will expect that the class coming from the output class variable is going to allow the use of the describePerson function. Okay, and you can see that the person class is already stored in the output class variable in doing this kind of assignment, because the function just returns a class. And let me set up an object from the class just generated. So output class here is just a class, and if I want to set up an object, how can I do so? Let me show you my way. I just say new output class on the right hand side of the equal sign, and I let Peter to be an object, and the object is just created from the output class, which is a class being the output. The class called output class has already got the name and the age coming from the generatePerson function. So how can I make use of the Peter object? Let me show you my way. You see, I just used Peter.describePerson to show the personal information. So let me see, save. Save again. Reload the page. Yes, you can see that the describePerson function really works. And when I call this function, I just use the original information passed to the generatePerson function. Okay. So in this video, you have already seen many ways to set up classes and hence the objects arising from the classes. We know the way to set up the classes by using the constructor, and we can also add some additional methods and the getter and setter, as well as additional key value pairs. And we know the way to really set up an object from a class. And we have also learned the way to do the class expression. We also know the way to give a name to a class expression, although the name isn't visible outside the class declaration or the assignment shown here. Finally, we know the way to return a class from a function, and we know how to really generate objects from the return value of this function. This is the end of the video. If you have any questions about my video, please leave your questions on the comment section below the video. If you like this video, please give me a like and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.